Welcome to part 2 of how to write a lit review. Okay, how do we actually go about organizing a literature review? Well, there'll be an introduction where you introduce your topic and you preview the sections. This is what I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to first talk about this issue, and this issue, or this theme, these kinds of topics. And then you're going to have a specific claim, right? You're going to say what the literature shows, a statement about what is there, what kind of things have been covered, what kind of things haven't been. Again, very briefly. And often the introduction and the claim will go together. The body of the literature review is organized by themes, chronology, or comparison, meaning, and you're going to do the first one, themes. You're going to say, okay, these are the types of things we found out about the topic that I'm interested in. Chronology means you put them in order. This is what it was where they started first, right? Research on this topic. This goes up to the more recent. That's important if you're looking at like historical trends about streaming content or historical trends about political speech or about whatever it is you're interested in. The way health is talked about online and medical knowledge is talked about information, whatever it is, you might want to look at it chronologically. Not you in your project here in this class, but you could do it. You could also make a comparison. You could also say, okay, there's basically been two approaches to studying this. One of them has been very humanistic. The other one's been very social scientific. Let me compare what they have. So you could do let me tell you this side first, let me tell you the other side first, and then tell you where I'm going. And that is legit. Those are all three good things, but you're going to be doing the themes one. Okay, and then you'd have some kind of a conclusion as well to the end of your lit review. Okay. Now, you want to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you claim something without giving proper attribution for where you got the idea from. Proper citation avoids this, which is plagiarism is both illegal and unethical. We don't want to do that. One of the things to understand is that we cite differently for paraphrasing versus direct quotes. Paraphrasing is when you're sort of saying, you're summarizing, right? Or giving a brief view of what took them a lot longer to explain. And you would paraphrase, and then in APA style, which is the one that you will be using for in text, you would say, okay, here's a key idea from parentheses, Ellingson, comma, 2024, right? End parentheses. That's what some idea that I put out there that particular year of the publication that you're looking at. That's different from a direct quote. From a direct quote, you would put a quote at the beginning and a quote at the end, and then you would also put Ellingson, comma, 2024, comma, but then you'd put P period and a space and the actual page number where you found the idea. For an exact quote, that is essential. Okay. We're going to be using APA 7th edition style in this class. It's an important thing for you to use. You use it in the more social scientific classes that you have in communication. Not everybody agrees, of course. There are some people in the department who do more humanistic, but APA is the official National Communication Association guidelines. The writing style that we use, therefore, will go with this. We're not going to get too much into it. We're going to get into how APA says you have to have headings, you have to have an abstract for your paper, that kind of thing. And then you need to have these citations, both in text and at the end for the references section. By the way, it's called a references section, not works cited or bibliography. You need to pay attention to formatting details, right? Like margins and headers and reference structure. And you need to pay attention to key sections like the title page and abstract and the reference list that make sure they're formatted correctly. All of this information is available to you free on the web. I suggest the Purdue OWL site, which I find very easy to navigate, but you can use any of the many, many publicly available sites that show you how to use APA 7th edition style. We'll also talk about it some in class. Lastly, when you're doing a review, it's important that you read and understand key parts of all your sources before you try doing synthesis. Doesn't mean you have to read every word of it. I personally skip over a lot of the very tedious details in the middle of the method section, unless it's one, again, that I'm trying to use as a model for a study. You're just pulling together ideas. You're not going to do an actual study. And so I very much think it's okay to skip some of the detail that you haven't learned about yet. You want to organize your paper around a clear claim or an argument or something you're really interested in. Could be a hypothesis, could be more of a research question, right? Given that you're going to look at multiple methods, it's going to have to be an overarching statement of something that you're interested in that's broad enough to include those. Lastly, you generally want to focus on drafting your what I call the notes and quotes, taking key ideas out of each article and organizing them. So I usually put a heading that's here's my first theme that I know that's in there. And then I'm going to take some notes and quotes and put them in under these different themes, second, third, fourth themes, just give them a heading of some type, copy in, both paraphrase and maybe some direct quotes with putting the in-text citation. And then you can sort of massage those things into a lit review by taking, okay, what do I have under theme one? What do I have under my second or third theme, right? Let's try to make that into a set of arguments. Should get shorter, generally speaking, because most direct quotations are not necessary. It's only when the language is really specific. Other than that, you can really lean into paraphrasing.